Albert Johansson's camp so far?
Some positives. I think he's showing some things that we had hoped and expected from him, and that's being a puck mover. That's him being an intelligent player on the ice. Obviously, the physicality part of it, he needs to keep growing. You can see he's got himself in some trouble by just losing some battles where he's giving up 40, 50 pounds, 2 to 3 inches. So I think that comes with a little more experience, a little more detail in his game. Defend through hands, defend quick. But I would say a positive, and he's going to obviously get an opportunity again tonight.
For a guy like him, he's in kind of a tricky spot where most young players you wouldn't kind of have as a seventh D if you
yes.
could do it. Like, what are the challenges that he has to kind of overcome to
practice reps are important. These exhibition games are extremely important. And being ready, it's going to be new territory for him. You know how it goes. He could walk into a morning skate thinking he's number 7, and then he's playing that night. So I think there's some challenges there, but just needs to keep growing, building his game. There's a ton of positives. His play and development path over the last couple of years has put him and us in a situation which I think is a positive.
That can stall development, can it?
Potentially,
I
guess.
It's
the reality of it, and that's where he has to get it through practice. And we talk about the importance of practice all the time. And you've seen camp. There's some nights the guys are exerting more in their practice than they actually are in their games, which is all part of the process.
As a coach, as a coach, when you're working with him and you're working with guys on that, when it comes, is that more of a Bob Abbas conversation? Is it like, as a head coach, how do you kind of handle communication on that?
Yeah, no, I'll do some communication. Obviously, we have layers to it.
Yeah.
Those guys, like Bob works with the D, or other 2 assistant coaches working with forwards daily. That's part of the development. I mean daily. It's probably way more intense than you would think. There's a meeting every day. There's an expectation of them every day. And then obviously there's my layer of it. So it's a process for sure.
With the 8 defensemen, we go into the season with kind of a plan of trying to get the numbers 7 and 8 guys in there early, maybe on back-to-back situations, or will it just depend on how the games go?
Potentially. There'll be part of that in the back of our mind, but it's going to be the lineup to win on that given night. What does that look like? I think that'll continue to play out. Again, I think there's 2 more games that are important for us, and some important reps over the next 2 games, and then we'll get a feel into the season.
Is there anything about Eric Gustafson games that you didn't expect when he came in?
No, it's a good player, and there's some positives there. I think he's finding his game too. There's a new, some different structures, some different players. He is a player that, probably the balance of his whole career is playing with instincts while within structure. So there's some times, his instincts allow him to be in some good spots, but those same instincts sometimes get him out of structure a little bit too. So I just think that's the growth in him. Good player, great stick, really good person. So pretty excited about him going forward.
With Comfort, getting into this game, do you feel like maybe you have to catch him up to speed a little bit, given that?
This important game for him. He's had some maintenance days over the last few days. So tonight is important for him to get those quality reps. Again, it's a unique exhibition schedule. We play 6 games in 6 days, but this is the last opportunity to get some reps until we play in a week, which is obviously when you want to be peaked out. So these are important reps for him tonight.
What did you make of Berrigan's game last night? What would your comfort be like with him?
There's some positives. Again, you can see in both games he's created some offense. He's done some harder area type things. I really liked his wall play. He's consciously working on it, getting in battles. Again, sometimes these instinctive guys offensively, they just, instead of getting that inside angle to getting to the net, it's just comfortable for them to get outside on the yellow. and you're not going to produce. So there's that balance. We're going to continue to work with him, but I would say he's had a very positive camp. You can see the compete, and he's trying to round out his game, which is a positive.
Talking to Petrie recently, he's talked about how over the years he's had to evolve and shift his game, his mindset. For veteran guys like that, is that harder than it looks out
Absolutely.
there? What's that process
It's
like?
real. It's credit to him. Obviously, he was an offensive power play guy, but still that balance of still creating offense the right way, but being harder to play against. Box outs are very important that he's consciously worked on. His gaps are very important. And then we've asked a lot of him. He's playing against really top-end opponents, being in our top 4. So yes, it's good on him, and a lot of players go through that evolution.
It's a pretty similar group to what you had last year. How similar or different do you think the winning formula for this team is going to be to what it was?
Well, you'd like to, I just think the whole group to improve on keeping out our net. So, and that was a battle for us last year. We had some goals that masked some of our deficiencies. I don't know if we'll get those goals as much this year, which is fine if we can take care of our 200-foot game. There'll be some internal development there, some will, some of the approach. So it's exciting. You said we're similar group, and to me that's exciting. It's a group last year that obviously improved and pushed us forward, and we'd like a similar group to get a little more.
I have a kind of follow-up from earlier, talking about how you have got layers to the coaching thing. And you've been a head coach before, but that's at the AHL, you don't have the type of staff you have at the NHL. Well, what have you kind of learned over the past 2 years about delegating, figuring, like kind of learning that part of being in charge at the NHL level?
Yeah, I don't think it's a whole lot
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
That's why those head coaching experiences, either through the American Hockey League, the ECHL, the AHL, are important. I think the game is just so extremely detailed now. I think it's important. You have to have those layers. You have to trust those layers. Probably 20, 25 years ago, it's looked a little bit different, but today it's just so competitive in every area. Within our offense, we have 5 or 6 different areas in our offense. We're constantly working on trying to improve. It's the same thing with our defense. So you need to lean on your coaches, maybe more even that football approach where everything is combed over so exact. It's the reality of it.
When you look back at your career as a coach, I guess who mentored you the most over that span? Who did you learn the most from?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I was very fortunate in my college assistant days. Bob Daniels, George Gwostecki, these guys were CEOs. I tell people all the time, if they ran a Fortune 500 company, they wouldn't be coaching hockey anymore. They'd be on a beach somewhere, living out a phenomenal retirement. They understand the big picture. I just think I was fortunate enough to get around some NHL head coaches. You see what it looks like. Bruce Goudreau, Mike when he was here. Obviously, my time with John Cooper. My methodical path. I've had a lot of mentors going forward. So I would say there's a lot of guys in that.
Are most head coaches now like CEOs in a way? I mean,
There's a little of that. You need to be on it. You need to be on top. But but that's the reality of how competitive this is. You're dealing with analytics, strength and conditioning, skating coach. In camp, you look around our room. I remember being in camp and there was 4 coaches. Look at our room now. It's no exaggeration. There's 17, 18 people in there, which is all part of it, and that's how competitive it is. And I think we're doing a good job as an organization of trying to be on top of it.
Thanks, sir.